Welcome back to some new petty revenge stories, where people get small victories over those that wronged them. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Lowball Offer. Last year I received an invitation to interview with one of our direct competitors for the same position I'm working. There's a reputation for me being called the Barracuda in my field of work, so my name is known to my competitors. Despite this, I had a blue-collar job title, not one in management or sales. For me, if an opportunity presents itself, I would at least entertain their offering, because you never know what might happen. But the intentions are ultimately for a better paying position. So I go to the first interview, and it's with the service manager. He's impressed with what I have to offer, and asks for a second interview with his head of sales manager. Then another interview with higher management levels, and another with the VP. And yet another with everyone I've already interviewed with and the CEO. All in all, 7 interviews in total. Now here's the thing, this isn't my first rodeo, and I know how to evade their bait questions where the only proper answer would be to spill the beans on revenue numbers or customer naming with my current employer. I dodged all those questions with vague answers that leaves them with nothing of value but stays relative to their questions. I can feel their frustration that they are not getting what they are after. After the 7th interview, I made it clear that I am no longer willing to entertain furthermore interviews. We talked numbers and where I'd like to see to entertain the possibility of joining their team. And if they are still interested, shoot me an offer, or if not, then a letter that they are not interested in hiring me. Let's add that in one of the interviews the VP spilled the beans on his number 1 cash cow customer. They just so happened to be directly across the street from their office in plain view. Based on what I gathered from all the interviews, this company interviewing me is still a small player in the game. Without this cash cow customer, they wouldn't be much of a competitor to us. Fast forward 2 weeks later, I get an offer. The offer is being offered by the VP, although it's clearly written that if I accept, I will report to the manager I initially interviewed with, and that I would retain the same job title. Except the dollar amount is 20% less than what I was making. 35% lower than the number said I'd be willing to entertain. I took that as an insult and immediately declined their offer. When they asked what would be my counter offer, I politely declined any further communication with them. I was upset when I saw the number they offered me, especially when I told them where I'd like to be in the pay range to entertain them as my new employer. A few weeks passed by, hoping I'd forget the insult of an offer, but I just couldn't get over it. So I enlisted the help of one of the newly hired sales reps in our company, whom I got along with really well. I asked him to accompany me in visiting a site I had my eyes on. After we got approval from upper management from both of our departments, we set an appointment with the cash cow customer of the company that I interviewed with a month prior. During the meeting, while the young sales rep is talking numbers to them, I decided to run my mouth. I made them an offer. Instead of entertaining a 1 or 2 year contract to be their new service contractor, we'd be willing to pay the cancellation fee of early termination of their current contractor, but only if they are willing to sign with us for 4 years, maintaining a 7.5 annual increase adjustment for inflation, and based on market evaluation. I was making things up as I haven't done any research and I haven't got the authority to back up those figures. I also gave them the guarantee that we would be on site within 24 hours of emergency breakdowns if they agreed to the terms of the 4-year contract. We left the meeting, and the young sales rep is super excited that if he closes this deal, he'll go from amateur to baller status overnight. But he was also super nervous that he never asked for permission for the guarantees I promised, and this could be the end of our employment should they agree. I told him not to speak of the terms. 3 months go by with no word from them. The sales rep kept in touch with them though during that time. Then one day, I get an email that also CCs the sales rep that they'd like to move forward with our proposal. A week later, I got a write-up for failing to follow the chain of command and 2 days of unpaid leave. But our VP of sales signed the contract, approving the conditions I outlined. He assigned me as the lead contractor rep, responsible for being the one who responds to the 24-hour breakdown guarantee if no one else is available. This, in turn, took me off the out-of-town travel list, which is a blessing for me. Fast forward 6 or 7 months later. This customer has proven to be our company's second highest profitable acquisition post-2020, and the cost of paying the contractor cancellation fee was overcome within the 4th week of service. I received a 25% pay raise and a management position, which I declined the position, but accepted the raise while retaining my current title. Also, I just found out during our annual company meeting that the young sales rep I and our families are going to Hawaii for a 2-week vacation, all expenses paid, in December. I now intentionally mandate that whenever we are at this customer's site, we park all of our service vehicles directly across the street from the former contractor's HQ, in direct sight of their view. The next story is called Ghosted on Payday. I just resigned from my job at this small company because my manager would not pay me on time. He would avoid me on payday, and I would have to seek him out and ask why he hasn't paid me yet. I work remotely, so we don't see each other often. Granted, he wasn't always this bad, but he always paid me later than he was supposed to. This year, however, it got worse as the company started doing badly. I'm an understanding person, but what irritated me more than anything was how I'd have to ask him why I'm not paid instead of him informing me that things are bad and my salary will be delayed. So I started planning my exit plan. We also had a big project that we were working on and was supposed to be presented to the clients. Comes presentation day, I don't show up. He texts and calls and I ignore him. Then, later that day, I emailed him my resignation. I thought I should make him feel what he's made me feel for months. The last story is called Trash Can Pickup. I rent a house with my husband and 2 of our friends. It's a 5-bedroom house. Rent is outrageous in our area, $2,400 for a 1-bedroom apartment. But we found this house for $3,000, which is not a bad deal where we save up to buy a house. There are other houses in the neighborhood like this as well. Our next door neighbor's house is a 5-bedroom house and they have 9 people living in their house. So it is chaos over there all the time. In our neighborhood, we can choose the trash company. It just so happens that we have the same trash company as the next door neighbors. Our trash company does like us to have the trash out by 7 AM. We don't always get it out that early though, and that's where this problem started. Most of the time, they don't pick up our trash until 11 AM. So obviously, as long as the trash is out before trash pickup gets here, they can take our trash. The people next door have 3 trash cans, and they are overflowing every single week. They put their trash out the night before. But unfortunately, our neighborhood has raccoons and foxes that always go into the trash. The last time a raccoon got into their trash, it left a mess in our yard and they wouldn't pick it up. I was pretty mad about it, but I just let it go and cleaned up their trash. I did go and put it back in their trash can, and they just sat out front glaring at me while I did that. Here is where this incident started. A couple of weeks ago, I didn't get our trash out until almost 9 AM. All 4 of us were sick. I was on demand and feeling a little bit better, but I slept in and forgot to put out the trash at 7 AM. So I go to put the trash out, and my neighbor starts yelling at me, saying you were supposed to have the trash out by 7 AM. You can't put your trash out now. I said, well, they haven't come and picked up the trash because your trash cans are full, so it's not a big deal. He said no, that's the rule. Your trash has to be out by 7 AM. If it's not, you can't get your trash picked up this week. I said I understand that they want the trash out by 7 AM, but they haven't come and picked it up yet, so it doesn't matter. So I went ahead and I just walked inside. I went back to bed, and a couple of hours later, I get up to see that our trash cans were put to the side of the house and they were still full of trash. Which means that someone moved our trash can. Our other neighbor came up to me the next day and said that she saw him put our trash can back. She didn't know the situation, so she wasn't going to tell him not to do that. Our neighbors are also very proud about their last name. They literally have a flag in their front window with their last name. I called the trash company and said that I was Mr. So-and-so and I needed to set up a vacation hold for our upcoming pickup. They said no problem. We won't pick up your trash next week. They only asked for their address, no other information. The next week I made sure that our trash was out at 6:45 AM. Then I sat and watched for the trash truck to come past the house. They drove past my neighbor's house and didn't pick up their trash, even though their trash was overflowing. They picked up ours and the other few people who also have them, and left. I know I'm a jerk for doing this. I may have crossed the line. But he also crossed the line by touching our cans and moving them and setting foot on our property. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.